They say wars begin with a shot, a single, unmistakable crack in the silence of diplomacy. But what if the war has already begun, and no one heard the sound? This is the forbidden dossier on the silent war between Russia and NATO, a conflict unfolding not in headlines but in shadows. A war not declared with armies but fought with influence, deception, cyberattacks, and proxy forces. It begins long before the tanks, before Crimea, before Donbass. It begins with fear. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the Cold War ended, officially. But unofficially, something else took its place. NATO, once a military pact to defend against the USSR, began to expand. Poland, Hungary, the Czech Republic, then the Baltics, Romania, Bulgaria. One by one, former Soviet satellites joined the alliance. To the West, it was seen as a natural evolution. Democracy spreading, security increasing. To Russia, it was betrayal. Documents later revealed that Western diplomats had assured Moscow NATO wouldn't expand 1 inch eastward. But those promises weren't written, and they weren't kept. Fast forward to 2008. At the NATO summit in Bucharest, the alliance declares that Ukraine and Georgia will become members. To the Kremlin, that was the red line. Weeks later, Russia invades Georgia. Then 2014. Ukraine ousts its pro-Russian president. Russia responds by annexing Crimea. The world watches in shock, but the maps don't lie. The borders are redrawn. The West imposes sanctions. Russia retaliates. The relationship fractures, and the silent war deepens. But here's the truth. This isn't just about territory. It's about influence, spheres of control, and the future of global order. NATO increases its presence in Eastern Europe. Russia builds up in Kaliningrad. Both sides conduct war games near each other's borders. Fighter jets intercept. Submarines shadow. Satellite images capture buildups, and both deny aggression. Meanwhile, another front opens, invisible, digital, and deniable. Cyberattacks spike. U.S. elections are hacked. Power grids in Ukraine go dark. Disinformation floods social media. Deepfakes, trolls, bots, all part of a new battlefield where no one bleeds but everyone's wounded. Propaganda becomes precision-guided. Narratives become weapons. The truth becomes collateral damage. And yet, the public sleeps. Ask a NATO general, and they'll say it's defensive. Ask the Kremlin, and they'll say NATO is encircling them. But what neither side says publicly is that the risk of escalation has never been higher. In 2022, Russia invades Ukraine fully. But this isn't just about Kiev. It's a test of NATO's unity, of Europe's will, of American resolve. And NATO? It doesn't send troops, officially, but it sends weapons, training, intelligence, billions in aid. The line is walked so carefully you might not see it, but you can feel it. This isn't peace. This is a proxy war. A frozen conflict burning under the surface. Meanwhile, Sweden and Finland abandoned decades of neutrality to join NATO. In response, Russia deploys tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus. Subtle moves, but loud messages. Every month, the exercises intensify. Warships in the Arctic. Bombers near Alaska. Simulated nuclear strikes in Kaliningrad. All labeled routine. All followed by denials. But the signs are everywhere. Pipeline sabotage. Assassinations abroad. Arrests of foreign journalists. Diplomatic expulsions. Embassy closures. Sanctions. Counter-sanctions. Economic warfare. Information warfare. Psychological warfare. And through it all, silence. No declarations. No treaties. Just tension. Just movement. Just escalation. But here's the question. If both sides prepare for war, expect war, and act as if war is inevitable, then isn't that already war? The Cold War had Berlin, Cuba, Vietnam, Afghanistan. This new war has Kiev, Kaliningrad, the Baltic Sea, cyberspace. It has no front lines, only flashpoints. And in a world connected by code, one false flag, one cyber false alarm, could unleash what everyone claims they're trying to avoid. So what now? Is this a standoff that fades like others before it? Or the opening act of something far more devastating? The truth is, wars are no longer declared. They just continue. In trade routes, in satellite data, in elections, in algorithms, and sometimes in the silence between headlines. But what lies beneath this tension isn't just military. It's cultural, psychological, strategic. Russia sees NATO as an existential threat, a military force creeping closer to its borders with each passing year. The Kremlin believes its history is one of survival, from Napoleon to Hitler, and that its destiny depends on securing its perimeter. NATO, on the other hand, sees itself as a defensive alliance. But its actions, no matter how justified, are seen in Moscow through a different lens. Provocation. This clash of perceptions fuels a cycle. Action. Reaction. Escalation. While the tanks roll in Ukraine, another war brews in Moldova, in Georgia, in Serbia, in Kazakhstan, all caught in the gravitational pull of these two titans. Military budgets rise. Nationalist rhetoric grows. Schoolchildren are taught new enemies. News anchors speak in absolutes. Peace becomes weakness. Diplomacy becomes betrayal. This is the echo of 1938, of 1962, of every moment before the storm. And yet, there's another layer. One deeper. One quieter. Private defense contractors. Multinational energy giants. Lobbyists. Think tanks. All pushing agendas behind closed doors. All profiting from the friction. For some, conflict is not tragedy, it's opportunity. And in that complexity, the truth becomes harder to find. It's buried in leaked emails, in satellite data, in whistleblower testimonies, in the things not said. It's in the fact that some diplomats believe a full-scale war is inevitable, not because of hatred but because of systems. Systems that demand momentum, budgets, justification. And so we return to the beginning. Has the war already begun? Maybe the better question is, how far has it already gone? This is your forbidden dossier. What you do with it is up to you.